Hello. Today we're going to talk about possible changes to stamp duty, which may not happen. The Labour government has floated many ideas recently on how extra income could be raised in the autumn budget to fund spending on government overheads and thus balance the books. Now, many landlords and property investors have been panicking and getting worried about even more taxes and costs for landlords. I've been active in UK property for almost 50 years. And I can tell you that over that time, there have been many such changes. They are indeed short-term transitional effects, but overall, these changes do not make much difference to investment returns because in the UK property market, prices and rents are set by a balance of supply and demand. When costs rise for all landlords, the rents also rise for all tenants. When some landlords are frightened off, there are better returns for the remaining landlords. This happens in every industry. When imports, food prices, or petrol gets more expensive from producers, the supermarkets increase the prices. They don't make a loss. When the cost to the energy companies increase, they increase the electricity and gas costs, even though they're heavily regulated. Now, one of these tax changes being considered is a possible change to stamp duty land tax. Stamp duty is money paid to the government when properties are purchased. It's like a one-off transfer fee or tax. For residential properties, there are three main categories of stamp duty. Standard stamp duty applies at increasing rates for more expensive property, nothing on properties below £125,000, and increasing levels for the portion of the property price that falls within these bands. For a typical property in London of around £1 million, the total stamp duty is £43,750. Additional stamp duty is an extra 5%, which only applies if you already own another residential property at the time of completion, or it's a company purchase. Then there's 2% non-resident stamp duty that applies if you are been outside the UK for more than 6 months in total in the 12 months immediately before completing the property purchase. Now, the rumour is that the government is eventually thinking of scrapping stamp duty. Now, that would be great news as it would help the economy. Right now, if you're a talented manager offered a good salary in London and have to move house, a good family house there may cost around 1.5 million. You may be able to afford the mortgage, but when you realise you have to find an extra £94,000 to fund the stamp duty, you just can't make the move. With investment property, no stamp duty will make transactions less costly and make properties more affordable and help keep down prices and rents. In my view, stamp duty changes are not likely in this budget. But if stamp duty is scrapped, this may be done only for the property you buy for your own use, and you may still have to pay when buying additional or investment properties. However, the bad news is that even if it is scrapped, then it will be replaced with another tax. Now, it's not clear what that will be and how it will apply. One suggestion is that the stamp duty may be paid by the seller rather than the buyer. Not sure if this will make much difference, as the end result will be that the property prices will just rise. But it may help to make properties more affordable with a mortgage. It's easier for lenders to fund a property price, whereas stamp duty normally is funded by the buyer as an extra cost. Another suggestion is that the changes will be gradual and a new annual tax may apply only to properties that are purchased in the future, and that such a charge could replace both stamp duty and the council tax. Such buyers will then not pay stamp duty or council tax, but instead pay this annual charge. And this annual tax may be limited to properties costing over £500,000, for example. And the rate may vary depending on the price of the property. On low-cost properties, there may be no charge or a much lower level of charge or even a small flat rate per property. But all this is speculation and there's no official announcement. If it did happen, I think the demand and prices for lower cost houses will increase and very expensive properties may stagnate. Let me know what you think in the comments below. My view is that demand for housing is going to continue to increase because the population is gradually increasing. And this trend is likely to continue for the next 20 years. So rents and house prices overall will continue to increase. Now, every government over the past 50 years has promised to significantly increase supply of houses, and they have all failed. Now it's even harder than ever because excessive regulation, green and EPC rules, higher material and labor costs, high land costs, and raised standards mean that house building is very slow and expensive. In the north of England, the cost of a new build house is 2 to 3 times that of an existing property. Now, our company has thought about building new low-cost houses many times. But like other builders, when we do the sums, we realize that would end up with us making losses. So there's not much incentive to build, and the housing stock is not going to increase significantly in the UK. Please comment below and let me know what you think about the government plans for house building and for stamp duty. I personally believe that the UK property market is a competitive market where pricing is determined by supply and demand. Any cost increases for property owners will get balanced by rent increases on tenants because supply is limited and demand is high. Please watch the message related to our sponsor at the end. Thanks for watching.
If you want to invest in property and get 7% net rent, long-term capital growth, no costs or liabilities ever, do nothing yourself and be living anywhere in the world, then consider Find UK Property. They provide 100% passive investment solutions for long-term income from freehold properties starting at under 80k. You get a property that is affordable, fully renovated, already rented out, contractually guaranteed and productive from day one. You become the owner and rent it back to Find UK Property so that they become your tenants and look after all aspects of the property in a fully compliant way. You never need to deal with tenants, estate agents, or do any property maintenance or repairs or pay for any costs. Find UK Property look after over 2,500 houses, all of which are sublet to their own tenants, and on average they get more rent from their tenants than they have to pay the property owners. So that way they can cover all the property costs. Their solutions are great for those wanting to retire on pension-type income or gradually build large property portfolios passively in a tax-efficient manner. Please visit the website at findukproperty.com and speak to a consultant today.